All right, welcome back, Algebra. Let's take a look at some exponents when we think about how are we going to apply those. And when we finish our answer, that new thing that says final answer should contain only positive exponents, because that's a big deal. We've already practiced using all the rules, but so far we've been okay with negative exponents or zero exponents. That's been all right, but it's not anymore because it's not going to be there. So if we look here, our first problem, we have 4c to the 8th d to the negative 3 times 5c to the negative 5 d to the negative 1. We're multiplying. Okay, multiplication. Product rule. That means our coefficients, we just multiply them. What is 4 times 5? Yeah, 20. All right. Now we're going to keep going. I've got c to the 8th and c to the negative 5. Well, that would be c to the, remember we keep the base and we add those exponents, and 8 and negative 5 would give us positive 3. So far, so good. Then I have d to the negative 3 and d to the negative 1. So now I have d to the, if I combine those, that would be to the negative 4. Now this is where we get hung up. That d to the negative 4 is going to, well, it's just not going to be there, especially in a multiple choice question. So you have to think, how did we look at that? Oh yeah, we can set it up as a fraction, and if we cross the line, it will become positive. So I look first here at my 20. What is the exponent of 20? If you think about it, remember it's positive 1. It doesn't need to go anywhere. If I moved it, it would actually become negative. We want to leave it up here. C to the positive 3. Perfect, I don't need that. But this d to the negative 4, that's going to need to cross that line. And when it does, that negative 4 will become positive. So now I have 20 c to the 3rd over d to the 4th. And that would be your final answer. So using that, I want you to pause the video and I want you to try the next one and then come back. And this is that point in the video where I go, no, seriously, pause the video and try it before you come back. All right, look at in common bases. Again, parentheses here tell me I'm all multiplication. So I'm going to look at my common base. I have an A and an A. Perfect. Keep the A. Let's add those exponents. Product rule. Negative 5 and positive 2. Well, that's negative 3. I now have a B and a B. Okay, B and B. Keep the B. 8 and negative 3 combine to make a positive 5. And then I have C and C. Keep the base. Add them. Negative 7 plus 7. Well, negative 7 plus 7, those are additive inverses, so that would just be 0, right? All right. This is all messed up. Look at that. I got a negative exponent, I got a positive exponent, I got a 0 exponent. Not going to work. The first thing I'm going to do is think about this c to the 0, because anytime I got a c to the 0, I know that this is 1. I don't need that anymore. That's just the number 1. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that by crossing it out. I'm going to set this up as a fraction over 1. And I'm going to look here and go, okay, to the negative 3, that's got to move to the base. B to the 5, that's perfect. Positive, going to leave it, and then I'm going to rewrite it. So B to the 5th over A to the 3rd. Okay. Let's look at our next one. Not multiplication anymore. What's this out on the outside? That's the power rule, right? So this guy has to come in, and he has to go to everybody. Be careful here. Don't forget, everybody in here has an exponent. Everybody. Don't leave anybody out. Just going to rewrite. 3 to the, well, 1 times 4, because we're distributing 4. R, 1 times 4, 4. And keep that S, negative 3 to the 4th power. Multiply that to be negative 12. Now again, looky here, positive, positive, negative. That negative is going to need to move. So we're going to take that negative and move it. Everybody else gets to stay. So 3 to the 4th, R to the 4th, over S to the 12th. Not quite done here, though. Look at that 3 to the 4th. Yeah, that's not all the way evaluated. We're not completely simplified. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Well, 3 to the 4th is 81. So we would actually rewrite this as 81 R to the 4th over S to the 12th. All right, I'm going to have you take a look at this next one and see what's different. Did you notice that the 8 the coefficient has a negative exponent, do not try to evaluate with the negative exponent, because you're going to type it in your calculator. You know what it's going to do? It's going to give you a decimal. And you're going to be like, what do I do with that? And I'd be like, yeah, don't do that. We need to move it first. And then it makes more sense. So 8 to the negative 2, well, that's going to have to move. P to the negative 10, that's going to have to move. So when I rewrite this, well, not everybody can leave the top. Remember, a fraction has to have something in the numerator. If everybody's leaving, we're going to go ahead and put a 1 up there. I now have 8 to the positive 2 and 10 to the positive, P to the positive 10. Still not all the way evaluated. Here I got 8 squared down here, right? So we're going to go ahead and just evaluate that. The important part here is that you move that power first and make it positive, so that when you look at it in your calculator, you're going to get that 64 here instead of that long fraction, because they will not provide you answers in long fraction or in long decimals. They want fractions. All right, here we go. You actually probably like these a little bit better. Ready? C to the negative 2, d to the negative 1 is being divided by c to the 7th, d to the negative 2. Remember how we used to just kind of draw this line here so we can find our common bases, and then we just subtract straight down. Keep the c. Oh, let my computer catch up with me. Keep the c. Negative 2 minus 7. Negative 9. D. Negative 2. Ooh, negative 1 minus negative 2. I'm going to say that again. Negative 1 minus negative 2. Minus a negative. Plus a positive. Negative 1 plus 2. Positive 1. All right, we need to rewrite this. First of all, I see that there. Not going to happen. Needs to move. So when I rewrite this, I'm going to have d to the 1. I'm not going to write the 1, right? Just going to write the d over c to the positive 9. I want you to try the next one on your own and then come back and take a look. Again, remember, be careful and make sure you have everything lined up, and then work your numbers. Those coefficients there, go ahead and divide them first. First things up, I divided negative 10 by 2, which is negative 5. And then m2 minus m3. So I have that m, keep that base. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. And then n minus negative 5. You guys gotta be so careful with these minus and negatives. They will get you. Minus a negative is plus a positive. So it's actually 1. Well, they didn't even give you the 1, right? 1 plus 5, which is 6. Now that I have this, it's time to move. Now, do you notice right here, my negative 5 did not move? I'm thinking, why would it not have moved? Because the exponent is what moves it. And any number has an exponent of a positive 1. The exponent determines if it moves over that fraction bar. So do not move it just because it's a negative. That stays right where it was. That just tells me the fraction's negative. It does not say that the 5 needs to move. We've got 2 more here, and both of these are going to be that mixed operation. So if you look here, I notice I probably need to multiply before I can divide. So 6 times 5, 30. I have a and a, so keep the a. 3 and 9 is 12. I'm just going to rewrite that over negative 12, a to the 14th. Okay. 30 and negative 12, what will those both divide by? Because remember, when we can't divide them evenly, and 12 does not go into 30, I need to look for a simplified fraction. So 30 and 12, they'll both divide by, they'll divide by 6. So I'll put my fraction out front here. That would be 5 and 2, and it is negative. Just put the negative out front, and then I would have a to the, negative 2. Now what do I do with that? I got a fraction out front, and I got this guy hanging out here. That looks weird. Well, remember, this just needs to make sure that if it's on top, and it is on top, because it would be over 1, it needs to go to the bottom. So I'm actually going to rewrite this as negative 5 over 2. I'm going to put it right down here in the denominator. 2a squared. One more. Pause. Order of operations. Powers. Multiplication. Then division. All right, so this was one of those problems you have to take your time on. First thing I did was I went ahead and got that power all the way through. So 3 squared, x squared, y squared. Remember, all of those have an exponent of 1, so when we multiply, they all have a new exponent of 2. Now, I need to multiply that by the second expression, that second monomial sitting there. 3 squared times 2 is kind of difficult to do, but I know what 3 squared is. 3 times 3 is 9. So 9 times 2 I can do. All right, I got that. 9 times 2 is 18. And then we keep those bases and add the exponents. So x squared x4 makes x to the 6th. Y squared y to the 3rd makes y to the 5th. Again, fractions, focus on the numerator, and then focus on the denominator, and then put it together for division. So I now have 18 x to the 6th y to the 5th divided by 6 x to the 8th y to the 5th. Well, coefficients first. What's 18 divided by 6? Yeah, 3. And then we're just subtracting. So we keep the x and the x, subtract 6 minus 8, which is negative 2. Then we're going to keep the y and the y, and 5 minus 5 is 0. So I could have wrote this as 3x to the negative 2, y to the 0. But as we've been talking, the final answer should not have a negative exponent or a 0 in it. So y to the 0 is simply 1. If I see something with a 0 in it, I'm just going to take my pen and I'm going to be like, yeah, I don't need that. It's just more confusing than it needs to be. So now I have 3x to the negative 2. If I want to get that exponent to go to a negative, or from a negative to a positive, I'm going to go across that line. I'm going to get a fraction bar. I'm going to cross the fraction bar, and when I do, it will be positive on the other side. So 3 over x to the 2nd.